Hey, welcome back to End Emotional Eating Masterclass. I am so happy you're here. And I want you to know I brought together 20 plus experts for you to hear their stories, strategies, tips, tricks, techniques in hopes that you would find some inspiration, someone that will help you with your healing, maybe find that one aha that will spark your healing journey for you. Today, I get the pleasure of speaking with Debbie Sherrick. Debbie is a certified holistic health counselor and codependency life coach. She teaches people how to unite mind, body, and spirit for a successful, healthy lifestyle. Through her coaching, many have learned to achieve self-love and empowerment in both their businesses and personal relationships. She uses a non-conventional approach, applying the mind-body connection, holistic modalities to her teachings, makes her unique. Debbie's passion is to educate and encourage clients to become healthy emotionally and physically, and to develop a deep spiritual connection in taking control of their own health inside and out. She also specializes in helping those in addiction recovery, food addictions, and codependency. She is excellent at helping those in recovery reach a higher level of health by implementing programs in these areas. Could you please help me welcome in Debbie? Hey, Debbie, welcome to the Masterclass. I am so happy you're here. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm super excited about this. I think it's awesome.
I am too. Thank you. Thank you. So tell our viewers about you and your journey. How'd you get into helping people with emotional eating?
Well, I got into helping people with emotional eating because of the work and the passion that I had maybe 25, 27 years ago. I come from a very dysfunctional home, and where there was a lot of fear and shame and anger and sadness. And in growing up in my home, was domestic violence, alcoholism, and domestic violence. In my own healing journey in my early 30s, and getting into doing some deep therapy and inner child work on my own and working on my past, I decided that I wanted to work with families of addiction and those families that suffer from codependency and other addictive behaviors. So in working with families of addiction also comes the emotional eating. And so even though I call myself a holistic codependency coach, I find I do work with emotional eaters that come to me a lot of ways that they handle or cope with their codependency is with food. And so, codependency is really a loss of identity, which emotional eaters have a loss of identity. It is also not being true to their self and stuffing a lot of emotions. So it's a lot of denial. And so in people that choose food to cope, I have clients that are codependent that choose alcohol, drugs, men, food, shopping, sex, gambling, whatever it is. It's anything that they choose on the outside to comfort themselves, to stuff their feelings and not deal. So that's how I end up working with a lot of people who use food. And when I do assessments with clients before I start working with them, one of the questions that I use is, do you use food, drugs, or alcohol to cope with your emotions? And so, that's a lot of my clients are emotional eaters. And so I love it. And I believe in this journey, it's my passion to empower women. Most of my clients are women. I do have a few men clients. I've had a few over the years, and I always praise them when they get into therapy because it's unusual that men want to do that deep work, right? It's usually the wives or girlfriends that are dragging them in, for therapy. But I work unconventionally with clients as a therapist because being holistic, my background is also, I am a master herbalist and licensed in alternative medicine, and also do a lot of energy work. I do a lot of chakra clearing and higher consciousness work and spirituality work. So when I work, I believe that when we are healing, it's important to include the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual, because we are a three-part being. So because I am educated in all of those areas, when I work with clients, I tell them I'm not a conventional therapist. I believe in the mind-body connection, that the mind and body are one. And so when clients are having these emotional problems, most people come in because of the emotional, pain or depression or a problem. It always shows up in the body also. There's always things that show up in the body. Weight to protect ourselves and stay in control, and or digestive issues from swallowing your truth, and also have a disconnect to spirit, source energy, whatever they call that, want that to be. So that's how I work with clients, is the whole of them. Holistic is the whole of you. And I love my work. And that's pretty much my story of what I do and how I got started.
I love it. So explain to our viewers who don't know what chakras are and what Reiki is, and the energy work.
Well, in our, we're all energy. Our bodies are energy. Everything is energy. The earth is energy. Everything has energy. And really, chakras are just, you can kind of explain them as like through our bodies, from the crown of our head down to our feet. We have many energy centers, and I describe them as like little computers that take in information and put out information, take in, put out, take in, put out. And even from the time that we are in the womb, we are taking in feelings and emotion and information. And so when that information and that energy comes into our body, that it is energy centers that can affect us spiritually, emotionally, if we are not in balance with that. Our root, our bottom, our root chakra is about our family of origin and our roots and our traditions that we learned, our belief system that we learned as little children. We create our belief systems by about the age of 7. And so that is about the root energy, the energy in the body of that. And then all the way up to the crown chakra, and a lot in between, the heart and the throat, and intuition. And the crown is our living in higher consciousness and listening to our higher self and honoring that, because people of addiction, whether it be food or whatever, do not know how to listen to that gut feeling or intuition and swallow their truth and feelings, and are stuck a lot of times in the lower chakra centers with things of the past, relationship things, family of origin, shame, low self-worth, and those kind of things. So I created a course many years ago, Healing Codependency Through the Chakras. It's an 8-week course, and it goes in depth, starting with your childhood and family of origin, all the way up to your higher consciousness, the crown.
That's beautiful. I can't say that I've talked to any experts who have talked about chakras in the energy work part of it. So this I love this. So I'm a licensed massage therapist. So,
yes.
So
you're familiar about the energy in the body and stuck energy in the body. Yes. And what's interesting, Carrie, is because of energy, and this proves this, when I do chakra balancing, I'm also a 30-year aromatherapist. I've been using essential oils, and I believe in their vibration. They're very high vibration for moving emotion out of the body. They pass the brain barrier in like 30 seconds. So people can smell a certain oil. The higher the vibration, the more it affects you emotionally and spiritually. So emotional clearing, a lot of times, or balancing chakras, I will use essential oils because it passes the brain barrier in like 30 seconds and can shift emotion. If someone is stuck in grief or stuck and can't move, can't feel anger or sadness, a lot of those essential oils can help move them into the emotion and release that blockage of the emotion. We talk about energy. If someone is laying on a massage table, and one way that I check their chakra energy of where there could be stuck energy or imbalance is I will hold a pendulum over that particular chakra center. And it's all about energy. I just hold it there still. And if that energy center is blocked or stagnant, the pendulum will just vibrate. It will not move. It'll just stay there and shake. If that energy center, the energy of that, the emotion and physical things in the body are open, the pendulum will swing really big open. So it allows me to know where there is stuck emotion in the body. For instance, if it is the solar plexus, that's our empowerment center, our self-esteem, our confidence center, where our shame is. And so if there is stuckness there, then I know that there are things they don't feel empowered. They're feeling powerless. And so we have a conversation about that. So our bodies really tell us a lot.
All we have to do is listen.
All we have to do is listen.
Exactly. That's so
and
amazing.
I always encourage massages with clients when they're moving through emotion or moving through the past or feelings. I say, I have a massage therapist that works with me that I refer them to because it helps move that chi energy, that stuck chi energy, out of the body, because emotions are energy, emotion.
Exactly.
And I know you know about that.
Yes. The whole integration, mind, body, spirit. Yes. Suppressing the emotions for so long so that it creates the dis-ease in the body, creates that pain. And you're wondering, well, why am I hurting? Well, what emotions did you not deal with for however long it's been to create?
And emotions, they're like neuropep. So they seek out receptor sites as into the body, and they will go and hide in the cells. And I have an old time book written many years ago by a energy healer and herbalist, and the name of the book is Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. And it describes about how emotions can be stuck in the cells of our body as they come from the brain as neuropeptides, and they will find receptor sites in the body. And that's where the Chinese medicine comes in, where the lungs are the seat of grieving and sadness, the kidneys are the seat of fear, the liver is the seat of anger and resentment. And so when we're working with healing, I believe that we need to look at the whole of the body and see, what's going on physically also, because it tells us a lot, emotion.
Definitely. So you also do inner child work with your clients. Tell us about that.
Well, I so believe in, I say that people heal in reverse, because people will come in, maybe they're having a problem with a relationship, or they're coming in because they emotionally eat. And they say, I'm, a lot of times they'll say, I'm having issues with my husband or my boyfriend. They can be codependent, and incidentally, all emotional eaters do have codependency behaviors. And they'll say, I'm using food to handle my stress and my emotions. And so they're wanting to come in to understand how to handle that particular situation and, help me to stop eating, or help me to handle my narcissist husband or something. And so we began talking about that. But in the assessment form that I have them do, it's like 25 questions, it tells me a lot about their background and their childhood. And so they may be coming from that, not realizing that the way that they are handling emotion today, the way that they are reacting, the reason they are being triggered is because of trauma or situations that happened long time ago. So we just don't wake up one day addictive. We don't just wake up one day codependent. We just don't wake up one day attracted to the wrong relationships. They're learned behaviors. And so I work with clients and I know even for myself, when I began my recovery of my codependency, which was addiction to men and love addiction, I saw 2 or 3 different therapists, and I just couldn't cross to the other side of the river. I felt like my behaviors weren't changing. When I finally was referred to a lady who I call my angel many years ago, 30-some years ago, she began inner child work with me. And she started working on segments and teaching me how our belief systems are created from the womb to age 7, and then 7 to 14. We start believing them deeper and acting them out, then 14 to 21. So I work in those 7-year increments on feelings and events and things that happen because we have such necessary needs as a baby and as a toddler and as a child to create secure attachment to our caretakers. And so if that doesn't happen, or there's, because of our parents being also having their issues and not being available, then our innate needs of feeling safe, secure, loved unconditionally, those needs are as important as nutrition. And so we will create either a secure attachment or an anxious attachment or avoidant attachment with our caretakers. And what we didn't get growing up creates models and mirrors to us who we are. It mirrors to us our belief about relationships, our belief about ourselves. And we continue to act that out. Up when little children have a brain that's not all the way, we're kind of like in theta brain, where we take in and believe everything we see and feel. Kind of like our brains are hijacked, when we're young. And so whatever's going on around us that we're feeling and seeing, we call that ROC, whatever is repetitious, observed, and consistent all the time creates our belief system. So, and we come to believe it. And so then we will act that out in all of our relationships, and we will act it out. Now, in the amygdala part of the brain, which is a lot of the, where the trauma is stored in our subconscious, we're not thinking when we're acting this out about our childhood. We're being triggered and we think it's the situation. We think, okay, I don't know how to stop eating, or I don't know how to use food for comfort. I don't know how to set boundaries with my husband, and I'm codependent with him. We don't realize that all of those things that we're doing and being triggered by are because of needing healing and reparenting our little girl or our inner child. We learn to reparent and give ourselves the things that we did not get growing up. And it works beautifully. And it changed my life, learning that and learning about my childhood and what I didn't get. And when I learned to reparent and give myself, believe in myself what I didn't get, and realized that my opinion and how the way I truly loved and respected myself had to do with what I was attracting and why I was doing what I was doing. So I love inner child work.
So what's an example of or a technique that you take your clients through for reparenting the inner child? What does that look like?
Well, first we do a circle of belief. We look at events that happened, as I said, in those time frames. And I get them to tell me about dad, tell me about mom and what was going on growing up, or whoever was their caretakers, grandma, grandpa, whatever, and events and situations that went on when they were growing up, and they might say, well, my dad was a workaholic. He was just a good provider. I hardly ever saw him. My mom really was the one that ran the house and took care of us. But my dad was very unavailable, but he wasn't really an alcoholic or an addict or wasn't abusive, and not realizing that because of the unavailability, they could have some bad abandonment issues because the unavailability of that. And so having a parent unavailable, and it could be mother, it could have been a mother, one of the biggest damages that I see with women is because we get our esteem and our worth and our empowerment from our mothers and how our mothers were. So when a woman grows up with a narcissist mother, it does severe damage on the woman with shame and their worth. And so revisiting that, going back into the emotions that they have denied about that. And so it's a process of getting them to get into feeling, getting them to go into getting out of the denial and going into the sadness and the anger and the shame and the fear that they felt growing up, but they suppressed. And we have to revisit that. And I always say we have to go through the pain to come out of the pain, because that little girl needs a voice. She never had a voice. She didn't get to. So it's different with each client. Some come in sadness, and I have a hard time getting them into anger. Some come in really angry and resentful, and I have a hard time getting them into sadness. But we have to go through all of those. And so it can be things like writing the mother an anger letter. And then we process through that anger and them reading it to me and really getting into the anger. They might write the anger letter and come read it to me. And I'll say that, no, that wasn't anger. That was sadness. You read that in sadness, which is fine. You had a right to be sad, but you need to get angry about what you did not get. And it's not about blaming or judging the parent, because the parent is acting out of their own incompleteness and whatever their background was, but it's about how it affected us and what their lack of parenting or behaviors, how it harmed us and did to us, and us having the discovery of that and understanding it and giving that child a voice so we can work through the anger and sadness and those emotions to get to the place of acceptance and forgiveness. And so it's a process, of working through that. But reparenting is, I'll have clients make a list eventually of what they didn't get. All of a sudden they'll start opening up about, I remember when I was 8, and I remember when this happened. I remember how my parents would go out and leave us home at night when we were little, like 5 and 6 years old, and we would be so scared, and and they'll start talking, remembering, and getting into the pain body of that, feeling that. So then eventually we'll look at, what do you feel you did not get growing up? And once they list what they did not get, what was missing, how does that show up in your life today? Because what we did not get from our caretakers, we don't know how to give to ourselves. And so if they had a parent who was very unavailable and abandoned, they are probably not available to themselves. If they had a parent that they could not trust their word, then they have trouble trusting their self and their intuition, because we learn that it's mirrored to us. And so learning to, how do I give that to myself? I didn't learn how to do that. I didn't get that growing up. So how do I learn to do that for myself today? And so it's very empowering, to be able to reparent the inner child and give her a voice.
Beautiful. Do
It
you
is.
find, yeah. So do you find that when you're working with your clients that they may not know what they're feeling, what emotion they're feeling? Do they have that confusion?
Oh, yes, yes. Most of the time when they first come, they are so not in touch with their emotions and feelings. I remember when I first started healing in my recovery, I just said I felt flatline. I didn't know, if I felt angry or sad or happy, or I said, I don't really feel happy. I don't really feel depressed. I really don't know how I feel. I just kind of feel blah. I just feel flatline because I was so out of touch with my emotions and feelings. So that's very common to when in the beginning that they just don't know how to feel. Some more than others. Some are really hard to crack to get them into emotion, but there are techniques to get them into feeling and being still and journaling and listening to sad music that can help them get into emotion, massages, essential oils, things that will help them get into the anger. I have a Nerf bat in my office and a big overstuffed chair, and I'll do anger work because a lot of times anger, as we talked about being stuck in the cells and chi energy, has to be brought out physically, whether it's hitting a pillow, pounding a chair, running, throwing a ball against a fence, something that's going to move physically that anger out of you. I remember when I worked on the anger with my father, I had a very hard time getting into anger towards him because I feared him because he was an angry man. And rage and anger and abuse was in my family. So anger to me was taboo. And so I knew I didn't like him and I resented him, but I had a hard time showing anger or being angry when I was in therapy because I was afraid of anger. And so it took me a lot of work to move into my anger and deal with my anger. And what I did was, I used to, back in those days, I was a personal trainer and I had my own studio and I had a punching bag in the studio and I would punch the bag and pretend it was my father and just say everything that I felt, and let that little girl have a voice of how I felt. And it helped me. And once I got in touch with that anger, it was like a volcano finally that was coming out. And I had to do a lot of writing, a lot of physical work, and a lot of crying and work with my therapist because I had no idea how much anger I had inside of me.
Wow.
Because my emotion of choice in handling things was go to sadness and victim. Sadness and victim was my choice. And so moving into anger was harder,
Yeah, I can resonate with that. I did a lot of victimhood too. I didn't realize I was doing, and victimhood and frustration.
Yeah.
Not allowed to feel anger or express anger, but I could express frustration.
Yes. Yeah. I remember my therapist telling me what a victim I was, putting myself on that victim triangle, persecuting whoever was doing something to me, and then, or not treating me properly, and complaining about it. And then I would feel bad that I did that and go right into rescuing. And then right back to the victim triangle, victim of feeling very powerless, because playing that victim and frustration keeps you so stuck, you feel like you're trapped and there's no way out. Anger is a lot more motivating into action. And so my getting into my anger helped me to take action about my life, because what I did, we talk about repeating the cycle, the circle of belief, the cycle of our family. And what I did was marry someone, was attracted to and married someone like my father, which is what we do. We repeat because it's familiar. And so that was so painful. And brought me back into the pain and wounds, which a lot of people will do is they will be attracted to the familiarity of how they grew up. And we call that trauma bonding. You know, they will trauma bond with someone. And, but pain's a great motivator. So because of the pain of that feeling, I felt like I was reliving my childhood. And so that I'm very grateful to him today, because he was the teacher that I chose to bring me into healing, to heal my wounds and bring them, out to where I sought help.
Debbie, this has been amazing. You have just been a wealth of knowledge, and I so resonated with everything you said. It just falls right into my into what I do. So thank you for sharing all of that.
Oh, I love it. I could talk about it. I'm so passionate about it.
And we didn't even get into the herbs and the aromatherapy part of it too much either, but another time. But I would love for you to share your free gift with our viewers.
Well, my free gift that I would like to offer is that anyone that would like to have a 20-minute consultation, free consultation, I will send them my questionnaire that I use before I work with clients. I'll send them the 25 question questionnaire assessment form that they can answer that will give me a little bit more idea about them. And then we can hop on a 20-minute consultation call and have a little conversation about it.
Beautiful.
Also, I offered as a bonus, I have a support group of women that I work with and that I've worked with over the years. And so I would be happy to add them to that support.
Lovely. I love
It's
it.
It's an empowering women's support group of healing whatever they're trying to, create self-love and healing from, whether it's food addiction, relationship addiction, depression, whatever, just to help women become more empowered.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for your generosity. I love that. And where can our viewers connect with you? Where can they find you?
They can, of course, I'm all over social media, Debbie Sherrick. They can also email me at Debbie Sherrick, Debbie at debbiesherrick.com. And my website is debbiesherrick.com.
Lovely. Debbie, thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge. You're such a beautiful soul. Thank you for everything you do. And
thank you, Carrie, for asking me to be a part of your beautiful summit and for the work that you do, pouring also into women. And I don't believe anything is by accident. I believe in divine appointments.
Absolutely. Everything happens for a reason.
Exactly. So thank you again. God bless. Bye-bye. How
amazing was Debbie? She's right in my wheelhouse, being a massage therapist, talking about the energy and the chakras and the stuck emotions in the body. That was so amazing. Such a refreshing insight on and her take on it, and the codependency part of the emotional eating was so amazing. Now, you guys know what to do. Jump in the Facebook group, share your ahas, your takeaways, your questions, whatever it was that was the thing for you. I want to know. I want to hear everything. If you're not on social media, you're not in the Facebook group, please just reply to this email. Let me know in your email what your aha was, your takeaway questions, and I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. As always, stay true to you. We'll see you in the next one.